Hi everyone, this is Marcus Curtis from Marcus Curtis Music. In our last video, we installed the XLive card, and I did a step-by-step approach to installing that, and I'll leave a link in the video description. But in this video, what I thought we would do is cover the features of the XLive card, what you can do with it, how you can use it, those kind of things. And I have a unique system set up, and I'm going to demonstrate the XLive card for you right now. So the goal in using the XLive card is to see how many channels we can record with at one time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my audio interface here, my Tascam right here, and it's got 16 channels in and 8 channels out. I'm going to plug these 8 channels into the back of the Behringer mixer. So at this stage of the game, you can probably see that we have our 8 outputs from our audio interface here going into our 8 inputs, the first 8 channels on our Behringer mixer.
Okay, so every audio interface usually comes with some sort of software that will allow you to control the audio interface from your computer. And the Tascam is no different. It's really not a bad piece of hardware, and it sells for $300. It's really cheap. But if you pull this up, you'll see here's the software that comes with our Tascam. Now we have 16 channels in here, and I can click on the link button, and I can take 2 mono tracks and make them stereo if I want to. Now I can enable a channel by hitting this analog 1 on. So now I can access an EQ right here, and I can access a compressor if I want, okay? And I can have a different setting for each channel if I want. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off though, okay, because I don't need it for what I'm doing. So in the interface alone, we see here's our 8 outputs in the back, okay, and we can see our software version and our firmware version and our sample rate. I click on the output settings, and we can see here is our outputs, and we have 8 separate outputs. So if we go over to Sonar, we'll call up Sonar. Sonar is now geared to the Tascam. If I go down to Preferences, you'll see our Tascam right in here. These are actually stereo, so there's 2 outputs for each thing that's check marked here, okay? So this is a project we're going to record into our Behringer unit. So if I hit play, you can hear it start to play. Let me tell you how I have this set up real quickly. So what I have, here's our 8 outputs here, and I'm using the pans here. Okay, so what I have is I have the bass drum, and I have the snare drum right here. I have the cymbals right here on these 2 tracks. Then I have the toms right here on these 2 tracks. Then I have the room mic for the drum kit on this track. It's actually on the left-hand side. If I solo it, you'll see here's our room mic for our drum kit. I have the bass right here. This is on the right side, so this is going to be our 6th track. And then I have our guitars right here. Our guitars are right here. Sorry about that. And there's 4 of them, and if I solo those, I have 2 guitars on one side, and I have 2 guitars on one side. There we go. Then I have 2 guitars on the other side. So the guitars are going to be on track 7 and 8. 6 is going to be our bass, and 5 is going to be our room mics. And our toms are going to be 1 and 2. And our cymbals are going to be 3 and 4. The bass drum is going to be on track 1, and the snare drum is going to be on track 2. And you can see the routing down here as it's routed to the outputs of the Tascam. I have the 8 outputs of the Tascam going into the first 8 channels of the Behringer. So I want to show you how this is set up here. So we're going to go ahead and start our project. And you're going to see the project's going to display here in the meters.
these are the cymbals right here. Here's the guitars. The bass is going to be right here. Here's our bass and our snare drum. So watch what happens when I hit the solos. Here's our bass drum. Here's our snare. Okay. And here's our overhead mics. And those are our overhead. And there's our, this is our overhead mics, and this is also our hi-hat mic. This is the room mic. Okay. Here's our bass. Here's the guitars. Here's two more guitars. So we got 4 guitars total. Okay. So there's the whole project. And that's how it's divided up. And this is how we're going to record it on our XLive card. So this tiny little micro SD card is what I'm using, and you can use these to record if you want to. You're just going to need this adapter here if you're going to record, and it just kind of slides inside just like so. And one thing is that you have a safety switch on the side of the card. That's this little switch right here. I don't know if you can see that or not. But if you flip that down, now the card is in safe mode. It will not record as long as that switch is down. It actually has to be up in order for you to record on it. Now, if this is set down and you insert this inside the mixer, it's going to say protected. And you're not going to be able to record on this card until the switch is set in the up position. Okay, so let's cover what you can do with this XLive card. If you're recording someone on location, 9 times out of 10 you're not going to bring your computer with you, so you're just going to access everything from the screen here. So I'm going to show you how to operate the live card from the screen. And to get to the live card, what you have to do is hit the setup function. Okay, and then what you're going to do is you're going to key all the way over until we get to where it says card. And this is where we access our recording function. Now, as you may notice, down here it says no card, no card. That's because our cards aren't installed. So I want to go ahead and install a couple cards. Here's card 1 in the first slot. Okay, and here is card 2 in the second slot. Now notice that in the card second slot it says protected. If you have that issue and you don't know what the problem is, it's that little switch I showed you earlier on the side of the card. So what we're going to have to do is eject that card. I'm going to go ahead and change the switch on it. I'm going to install it again. And now we have access to that card. So you have 4 features down here that we can cover, okay? And to get to those features, we're going to go over here to this down arrow and hit those. Okay, so we have another window here we can adjust. But what we're going to do now is going to go to Utility, and whenever you insert a new card, what you're going to want to do is format the card. Okay, so that's just a best practice thing to do. So this switch right here is going to be format. Let's see, it's this knob right here. This is a warning format. It's going to erase everything. Just hit yes, and now the card is formatted. And now to switch the card, if you want to record on another card, just hit this down arrow right here, and you're into this setup here. Let's go back up. So this is the main screen you get. If you want to format the card, you're just going to go or change the card. You're going to hit the down arrow. You're going to hit SD2 right here. Just dial it down. And now it switches. So we're back to our original screen, and we're switched to the other card. To format that card, we're going to hit the Utility button. Okay, and then we're going to hit the format. So now both cards are formatted and ready to go. So we're going to go back here. Sorry, go down one actually, and we're going to switch back to the first card. Now we'll go down one again. We have 32 in and 8 out. You know, when you're using the
live card, you probably want to switch this to 32 in and 32 out. So we're going to dial that up to 32 in, 32 out. And there we go. So right here, this gives us an option of playback. Do you want to play back from the SD card or the USB interface? This still has the USB audio interface built into it. So if you want to select the interface, you would just go down and select it like so. Okay, so channel routing, playing back from recording, you just want to hear the recording thing, or the playback, or automatic. We'll just keep it on automatic. Do you want to record on 32 channels at once, 16 channels at once, or 8 channels at once? We're going to leave it on 32. Okay, so to go back, we're just going to hit the up arrow to go back to the setting. Anytime you want to delete a session, if you make a session and you want to delete it, all you have to do is hit the utility button, and that'll bring up this section for deleting that session. You can delete markers as well. Okay, so we're going to get out of the utility function. So now what we're going to do is we're going to play our song, and we're going to record it here, and you'll see it right in here. And it's going to start a session. So to start recording, we have our stop, our play, and our record. So let's start recording. Okay, now it's time to play back our project, and right here is our play button. We hit that and it starts playing, but you notice we don't hear nothing yet. And if we hit it again, it will pause. To stop it, we can go ahead and hit stop, and it'll rewind everything back to 0. Now if we want to forward anywhere in the project, we can use this little turn knob and go anywhere in the project you want to go. So we go 3 minutes in, for example. Here we are, over 3 minutes in. And then if, say, you want to set a marker up at 3 minutes and 14 seconds, all you would do is hit this button right here, and you just set a marker right there. So you can go to markers at any time. So let's set another marker. Let's set another marker at 3 minutes 41 seconds. Now we have another marker, and we just go down to where our markers are, which would be right here actually. And then we can just switch between the two, just like that. To rewind the project, of course, all we have to do is hit the stop button, or what we do is hit the play, then the stop button. That takes us back to 0. And then if we want to play the project, we're going to go ahead and play. Still can't hear it, so that's going to be fixed in routing. And what we're going to do is we're going to hit routing. Now we recorded on the first 8 tracks. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this right here, which is normally, what you'll see in routing is you'll see this setup right here. We're going to take this right here, this middle one, and we're going to go down to where it says card. We're going to do the first 8 tracks, because we recorded on the first 8 tracks of the card. We're going to hit that right there. Now what we'll see is if we go ahead and hit 17 through 24, there are the tracks that we recorded. All we have to do is lift the faders up, and there they are. So this is playing back from the X32. This is not from our Sonar project. This is not from our audio interface. We recorded this on our XLive card. So this is playing back from the XLive card. So I want to show you a couple different things right here. So notice that we have separation. So if we want to separate the bass drum, for example, here's our bass drum. Here's our snare drum. Here's our 2 overheads. Here's our room mic for our drums. Here's our bass. Here's our guitars. These are other guitars. So let's go ahead and stop this recording. Okay, a couple more things to point out to you. First of all, while we're in our setup mode here, we're going to key over till we get to our global setting here. Notice we're on 48K. Okay, so what we're going to do is we'll go back over here and to where our card setting is, and we're going to go over to our options here. We're going to switch our card. We're going to go to the next XSD one, and let's go back up. Now you see that we have 32 gigs on this card. We have 1 hour and 26 minutes of recording time. If we key over, you'll see our sample rate in our first global setting. Our sample rate is 48 kHz. If we adjust this down to 44.1 kHz and hit that, and now we go over to our card again, I'll notice that we have more time now. We have an extra 15 minutes or so. And when you record in a lower sample rate, it takes less room, so it's going to wind up giving you more space on the card. So with both cards installed at that sample rate, we'll probably have about 3 hours of recording time total. 44.1 sample rate, 48K sample rate. 44.1 is CD quality, and 48K is DVD quality. Okay. So one other thing I want to point out before we venture on out of here, we're going to go ahead and go down one, and we're going to switch back to our other card here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to key back over again. And we're going to change our sample rate back to 48K. And the reason why we do this is because I can't call this project up because it's recorded in 48K until I change the sample rate back. So now what we're going to do is call that up. And we're going to load the session. The session is loaded. And we can play it, as you can see, and it'll start playing. And we're going to stop. Let's say we want to do an overdub on this session. Watch what happens when we hit record. It starts a new session. We can't even hear the old session. And the reason why is because you cannot overdub using the XLive card. Overdubbing is impossible with the XLive card. It can't be done. Okay, at least I can't figure out why.
Okay, so you can't overdub using the XLive card. That's not what it was designed to do. So in my X32 producer here, I have 16 channels. So what I can do is I can go and mic a band, give everybody their own track, then record everyone, and everyone will be recorded on their individual track. Then I can take this back to my studio, and I can dump it into my DAW, and then I can go ahead and mix it from my DAW. And that's the beauty of the XLive card. It separates everything for you so you can record a band in a live situation with an audience or however you want to do it. If you have the X32, you have 32 channels to record the band, and everybody can get their own track. So if you're thinking about getting a live card for your studio, you're probably better off sticking with what you have and just use the DAW that you have. If you're going to do live setup and live recording situations, and that's where the XLive card really shines, and you may want to get it for that reason. I have one more thing to show you though, so check this out.
Okay, if you are playing live somewhere and you happen to have your computer with you and you're using the X32 to record a live band and you're plugged into your computer, you can use the Behringer app to control everything you're doing. So there's a couple of things I'm going to show you to get started right off the bat. We're going to go over to here to the setup button. Click on that, and we're going to go all the way over to the card function. You can see here's all the settings that we find on that little tiny screen on that Behringer mixer. So here we can select between the USB interface built into our card, which is right here, or we can go to the SD cards, which are right here. Okay. Also, you can switch which card you're going to use. You can format the cards from this. You can also change your USB interface. We can go to 32 tracks in and 32 tracks out. So a lot of the same settings we can adjust here. Now, one more thing I'm going to show you is that if you go over here to where it says recorder and you hit on recorder, this is the recorder that comes up when you're using the thumb drive. This is not the recorder we need. So what we're going to do is go ahead and click that off, and we're going to go over here to Setup, and we're going to go over here to where it says GUI Preferences, and over under PC Transit Control, we're going to select the Live 32 track. Okay, so let's get on that, and now we're going to open up our recorder again, and there it is. There's our 32 track recorder. Now you can also do it by just kind of clicking on these right here, but by default, if you want this to come up by default every time you hit this, you have to have that setting in Setup hit. So over here we can select our project. We have 2 sessions here. This is a second one we did. Here is our first one. All we have to do is hit play, and our session will start to play.
Okay, so that's going to be it for this video. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I have a lot more videos coming your way. In the next video, we're going to go ahead and take the tracks we recorded and import them into a DAW so you can see how that process works. I also have some more X32 videos coming. We got one coming up on routing, and we have a couple more coming up on various X32 topics, and I have some cakewalk videos coming that will show you some really cool tips and tricks, some things you probably haven't seen from my old school days. And also we have other surprises coming in video-wise. So go ahead and hit that like button if you would, because that helps the YouTube algorithm, and it really helps me out getting the video out to more people. And I want to thank you for watching, and I want to thank you for your support, and I will see you in the next video.